Hello guys, what's up? This is Sohan and you're watching your Technical Spark channel. Friends, in this particular video, we are going to learn how to install and configure iSCSI target server, and I'll be also sharing that particular storage with our other nodes step by step, because this is the very first things which we have to do when we are trying to fulfill our prerequisite. And just for an example, let me just open my architecture. As you could see here, right now we have already configured our infrastructure, right, with our primary IP address, which is Ethernet 0, as I mentioned in my previous video. If you didn't watch that, please go ahead and clear all your doubts, because that video is very important. And now in this particular video, we are going to configure the storage, okay, on our domain controller server, and then we are going to share this particular storage with our SQL instance A and SQL instance B, because on that particular storage only we are going to install our SQL into the cluster. So the first prerequisite is we have to make sure that our IP address is configured in this server. So for my Ethernet 0, which is our actual server, for that I have the IP range 192.168.0.10, 0.20 and 0.21. But in this particular storage configuration, I am going to use the IP address series 192.168.1. okay, and the IP address for my domain controller is 10, for my SQL instance A 1.11, and for my SQL instance B I have the IP address 1.12, which is Ethernet 1 card. So let's very first check out we have a properly configured IP address in our server or not. For that, let me first go to my domain controller server to verify this 1.10 IP is there or not. So guys, this is my domain controller server. Now let's open our server manager to check out the configured IP address. So guys, as you could see, 192.168.0.10, this is my server IP range, primary IP range, and additionally I have configured this 192.168.1.10. this IP is already I have configured in my server. Okay, this is my domain controller, and I have also given the name to this particular NIC card as a iSCSI, just for my easy understanding. Now let me close this. So if in case you are configuring this into the production, then there is no issue. But if you are doing this kind of configuration in your test lab, then for proper DNS resolution and other stuff, what you guys will have to do, let me just give you an idea. So if I go to the DNS, then you can see here I have configured one reverse zone, right, reverse lookup zone for the 192.168.1 series, and due to which whatever the IP I have configured in my environment is getting resolved here and is getting mapped with my host name. So configuring the reverse zone is always been a beneficial. Now since I am on 1.10 as I shown you here, so let's try to ping my other servers, okay, which is 1.11 and 1.12 from this particular server. So let me just open run window and CMD, and we'll check the communication with my 1.11 and 1.12 IP address. So for that, let's do the ping 192.168.1.11. so it's able to communicate, right? Similar way, if I do for the IP address 12, then here also I'm able to communicate, which means there is no issue with the communication. So my first thing is address, but just for your reference, let me show you on this server also whether the IP address is properly configured or not. So this is my another server. Let's SQL Server A, server manager, local server, and check this out. This is my first node of SQL Server, and here I have the IP address 1.11. Now similar way, if I go to my another server, which is SQL B, okay, on SQL B, let me open my server manager, local server. This is my SQL B, and if you check out the IP address, then here I have the IP address configured as a 192.168.1.12, which means from the network side I have fulfilled all the required prerequisite. Now to install the iSCSI target server, first we need to go to the domain controller, okay, and just for your reference guys, if you check out here, okay, so if you are into the production or large environment or the proper company, then for this particular storage you don't have to do worry much about, because if you just simply request your storage team, then they will do this configuration from their end. But since we are teaching from the scratch, I would like to cover everything from the beginning, okay, so that you guys will be understand how exactly things are done at the back end. Right, so why this storage is required? As I said you that to configure your or install your SQL Server into the cluster, we would be required one storage, because instead of using storage from this particular server, we are using this storage, so that if any server goes down, it will be able to move to the another and make it as a active. So hopefully this thing is clear. Now to configure the storage, what I'm going to do, very first, as you could see, I have C drive and D drive available in my PC. Okay, so C drive is my operating system drive, and D drive I have specially created. Okay, you can see the drive letter S. Okay, just to store, create my virtual disk. Okay, which will be shared. And it's not like that I'm right clicking and creating virtual disk. So for this, we'll have to go to the server manager again. Okay, and there is a one component called add roles and feature. Next, and under the file storage and file and iSCSI services, you will find one option, iSCSI target server. So this is the option we have to choose, so that we will be able to configure our shared storage. Now click on next. Here we don't have to do anything, and always tick this particular box, so that if in case your server requires reboot, then it will be able to it will get restarted automatically. Okay, installation is succeed. Now let me click on close, and as you could see guys, here file and storage. Okay, as soon as the installation is completed successfully on this server for our selected role. Now next stage, we have to click on this file and storage option. As you could see, file and storage services. As soon as we click on this, it's open this particular wizard. Let me just show you from the scratch, so that when you guys are going to configure by your own, if in case things get closed from your end, you will be able to open. So once I open the server manager, here I'm going to click on file and storage services. See, and now we have to click on iSCSI. Here we don't have any iSCSI virtual disk. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to configure my storage device disk into this particular drive. So what are the things we would require? So again, as I mentioned in my previous video, we would be required total 3 disks. Okay, one is for the data, second is for the log, third is for the temp, and one more, total 4 disks. So and the last one is for the quorum. Quorum is our witness disk. So very first what I'll do, I'll create one new virtual disk. Okay, and for this I'm going to select the storage as a S drive. Okay, so we will have to select this particular storage first. Once this is done, then and one more thing, if you want to type a custom path, you can do that also by selecting this appropriate option. But right now for the storage, I'm going to select this. So once the storage drive is selected, we can click on next, and here we'll give some kind of name to our disk. So we'll give the name as a quorum. Okay, because this is our witness disk, witness drive, witness disk, whatever you can say. Okay, so this is the first drive I'm going to create. If you want, you can guys add the description, and then you can click on next. Let me just move this little up so that we'll be able to view this properly. Now let me add one size for this particular quorum disk. So quorum disk usually doesn't require much space, so I am just selecting 1 GB. Okay, now here are the couple of options available. So dynamically expand, or do you want to provide the fixed size. The benefit of this is when you provide fixed disk size, performance get increased, because it's directly reserved that much of space on your disk. And when you selecting dynamically expanding, then at the moment when you are configuring the disk, it will only utilize how much it's required, and as soon as the data grow, okay, it will get expand automatically and reserve the space on your hard drive. Okay, up to 1 GB. So for the fast performance, I'm going to select fixed size. Okay, or if you want, you can select the dynamically expanding disk as well. But right now I'll just go with this because this is my test environment. So whatever the option you guys are preparing best for yourself, you can choose that. Now let me click on next. and here we don't have any iSCSI target. Okay, so we'll have to create fresh one. So for that, let's click on next. We'll keep this option as unticked because here we don't have any existing configuration. Now when you click on next, we have to provide here a target name. So SQL cluster will be target name. I'm going to assign to this particular iSCSI configuration. Now let's click on next, access server. So let's click on add, and as I shown you in the image, right? So currently we are on 192.168.1.10, which is our domain controller. So to with whom we are going to expose this server? So we are going to expose this server to the SQL instance act A and SQL instance B, which means active passive. Here are the host name. So we have to type the IP address 192.168.1.11 and 1.12, which is we have configured in my other two SQL nodes. So let's enter that. Okay, and here we'll have to choose the IP address. Once this is done, click on OK. So one is added. Again click on IP address, and here we'll mention 12. Okay, so I have added both the IP address in my this particular access servers. Now click on next. Here we don't have to make any changes at this moment. Next, and review all the configuration which you have given and click on create. So my disk has been configured. Click on close. You can see quorum disk, one disk has been configured. Now similar way we have to click on new disk, and here what I'll do, I'll again choose my yes drive. Okay, and this time we are going to configure data disk. Okay, where our SQL software is going to be installed. Let's click on next. Let's give the name for our disk, so data. If you want, you can provide the description. Next, let's give the size of for this particular disk is 15 GB. For this also I'll be keeping fixed size. Next, this is my cluster name. Okay, then again next, and this time guys, if you see, we are not creating new iSCSI target. So what we are doing, we are using existing iSCSI target which we have created in my quorum disk creation. Okay, now again click on next, review all the configuration and create. Complete. So our two disk has been created. Now similar way we'll create one more disk. For that, let's click on new, but for that let's wait for some time so that this particular process will get complete. Again click on new iSCSI virtual disk, and again I'll choose my yes drive because this is what we have dedicatedly assigned for this particular configuration. Next, and this time we are going to create temp. Okay, and click on next. How much size you would like to allocate? So let's say I would like to allocate 10 GB of size. Let's click on fixed size. Again guys, this is completely up to you whether you want to go with the dynamic, differentiate or fixed size. So next, and create. Close. The temp drive is also created. Now we will again go and create one more new virtual disk. Okay, it's completed, clearing the disk. Now again here we'll choose the yes drive. Next, what the name should we have to give? So let's say this is a locked disk. Click on next. How much size would you like to allocate? So let's say I'm going to allocate 5 GB for this particular locked drive. Next, and again next, select the SQL cluster name, and next again review all the configurations and create. Close. So as you could see, we have created total 4 disks on our this particular iSCSI server. So iSCSI configuration on target server configuration part is completed. Now what the disk which we have exposed on this 1.11 and 1.12, so we have to initialize this particular disk on those SQL server. Okay, or you can say cluster server. So what we can do, we'll just keep this server as it is, and very first we'll move to the our server 1.11. So let's go there. Now friends, in this particular server, what very first we'll have to do, if I just open my computer management, so that you will get the better idea how exactly the things are working at the backend. Okay, perfect. Our disk management has been open, right? Computer management. So in this computer management, we have to select disk management. Okay, so as you could see right now, I have only single drive configured in my this particular storage, right? Let me show you. See, only single drive is available in this particular server. So what we'll do now, we'll just simply have to go, select and go search for a iSCSI initiator. Okay, this option you can get it from tools menu, as well as if you go to the administrative tools, then also here also you have the same option, iSCSI initiator. So just select that. The Microsoft iSCSI service is not running, the service is required to be started. Okay, so let's click on yes. Okay, the service is probably started now. Now what we'll have to do. So as I say, told you in my previous image, architecture image, earlier what we have done, we have configured our iSCSI target server on domain controller, and what is the NIC card we have applied for this? 192.168.1.10. So let's enter that IP address, 192.168.1.10. okay, and let's do a quick connect. So it's got connected because we have exposed our disk to these two nodes, 1.11 and 1.12. So it's got connected successfully. Let's click on done and simply navigate to the volume and devices. Here you will have to do auto configuration, so that 1, 2, 3, 4, the disk which we have configured on our that iSCSI target server is got visible here. Now what you will have to do, simply click on OK and done, guys. Now if I again open my this particular manager, you can see all disks are visible here now. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Here right now it's not available because these disks are currently offline. Let me maximize this, just move it this little bit so that we'll be able to check out all the disks in a single window. Z disk we can ignore because this is my CD-ROM. We just have to focus on 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 GB is Quorum, 15 GB is our data drive, 10 GB is temp, and 5 GB is our log drive. So this is how we have created the drives in our servers. And to make this online, what you will have to do, you just simply have to click on right click and then select online. Okay, and now let me make all the disks online first. Okay, once disks are online, then it will show you the not initialize. So we'll have to initialize this disk first. So here 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'll do, I'll just simply initialize all the disks in one go. If you want, you can do it one by one. Okay, but I guess let's go with the shortcut. So yeah, okay. So now my all disk has become online. You can see it here, right? But if you check out into the disk, still disks are not showing here. Why? Because the disks are newly created, so we have to format those. So let's click on new simple volume, next, and this is Quorum, right? So what I'll do, I'll just select the drive letter Q. It's for my understanding. If you want, you guys can give a name also. So let's give a name also for this particular drive, Quorum. And it's always recommended to select the 64K, okay, when you configure this type of cluster configuration, and make sure ENTFS is always there. So 64K I have selected. Now click on next, finish. So this particular drive is getting formatted and it has been created. See, this particular Q drive is visible now. Similar way, now let's create another drive. This is a data drive. Next. So okay, D drive for data. Perfect. Drive letter. Let's give the name as well. Data. Next. Done. Now this particular drive is our temp drive. So right click on this particular drive, new volume. I'll give the drive letter name as a T. Next, and give the name temp. Next, finish. So this is also created. Now for the last one is our log drive. So next, and here I'll choose the drive letter as a L. Next, let's give the name log, again next, and finish. So my 1, 2, 3, 4, all the disk has been online right now and initialized properly and ready to use. So if I go to this PC folder, you can see all these drives are visible, right guys? Okay, I guess guys, we have made one mistake. Apart from Quorum, for data, log and temp, we missed to add 64K. Okay, so let's click on format again, and instead of default we'll choose here 64K. Okay, so let's click on OK Similarly, we do it for other drive as well. Format, and here make sure NTFS is selected and we'll choose 64K. Okay. For this particular also, by default it shows 32 FAT32 guys, but you can see my drives are NTFS. So if you are changing, making any changes, so make sure you again select the NTFS partition only. Okay, so I have selected 64K and OK. Perfect. So our configuration has been properly validated, and we have configured as per the best industry best practices. Now friends, to configure the same disk on my another server, what we have to do? So we have to offline all the disks from our primary server. Okay, so here I have offline the disk, offline, then again offline, and done. So all my 4 disks has been offline in my primary SQL server. So we'll go to our secondary SQL server, or you can say node 2. So guys, this is my another SQL server. So what I'll have to do, we'll simply go to the tools, iSCSI initiator, and in this particular screen we have to select yes to start the services. Okay, our window has been open, and now in this again screen we have to enter the IP address of our domain controller server. So 192.168.1.10. So let's enter that 192.168.1.10. Let's click on quick connect, and it's got connected here successfully. Now let's go to the volumes and devices and auto configure. Click on OK. Perfect. Now we are good to go into the computer management. So let's go in there. Here is the computer management. Let me side by side open File Explorer as well. Okay, here is our File Explorer. This PC, here also we have only C drive. So what I'll do, I'll simply go to the disk management, and here the disks which are offline, right? So let me maximize this and make this disk online. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So all our disks are offline, but let's make some changes into the drive letter, because in our SQL Server A we have given different drive letter. So here also we'll apply the same drive letter so that it will be easier for us to understand, right? So for quorum drive, which is 1 GB, I'll change the drive letter to Q. Okay, the letter has been changed. For data drive, okay, so I'll change the drive letter to D. Okay, yes, done. For temp, we'll again change the drive letter to T. Is basically choose default drive letter automatically. And for log drive, we'll change the drive letter from G to L. And OK. So our drive letter has been configured successfully. Check out. And if I go to my this particular drive, then as you could see, data, log, column, all drives are properly visible here. Now guys, with these steps we have successfully installed our iSCSI target server, as well as we have shared our created and shared our disk with our SQL node A and SQL node B. Okay, so our disks are also shared. Now in next video we would be required to configure the Windows cluster, because without Windows cluster swapping things will not work as expected. So Windows cluster is very much important, so that it will be able to get to know that when exactly my let's say one of our servers got down. So how exactly it can be recognized. Okay, so this particular things will be captured by Windows cluster. So we'll cover that part in our next video. And guys, so far if you found this video useful, then please click on the like button and don't forget to share and subscribe. If you are watching this video for the very first time, then consider subscribing and enable the bell icon, so that as and when I'll publish new video you will get notified. So that's it in this video. This is Sohan signing out. I'll catch you in the next amazing video. Till then, bye bye.